Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Ryobi string trimmer. Customer complaint is that it's leaking fuel and he wants the fuel lines replaced. But as you can see here, we found a little bit bigger problem than just fuel lines. The cylinder is loose from the crankcase. That might explain why he can't get it started, right? It's got a super massive air leak. But is it ruined? Let's take a look inside and see if the cylinder is scored or not. The spark plug looked okay. We get our handy dandy flashlight out, take a look inside, and the cylinder looks fine. So it must have happened fast. Just died, or gremlins came and loosened the screws in the middle of the night, and then he couldn't get it started. I'm leaning towards gremlins on this one. This power head isn't a Ryobi power head. You'll find it on a lot of different brands of trimmers. So follow along if your trimmer looks anything like this one with an end cover that comes off in this manner. We're going to have to get a few pieces of plastic out of the way here. Air filter cover came off, and now this air deflector can come out of the way. I just keep wiggling that thing. I don't know why I like doing that. It's loose, we know. So let's move forward with our fuel line swap. On this unit, the fuel filter is on the end of a line, not pressed into the bottom of the fuel tank. And that makes this a little easier than some other models that look like this. Now, you'll notice that, gee, I don't think this is the line that was leaking. You'll notice that I yanked a bunch of the lines out of there. If you do one at a time, you're not going to forget the order or where they go. So just be advised of that. The first line goes in, and it's the return line. And we just want it up in the fuel tank enough so that it, I mean, we don't have to put a filter on it, so we don't have to pull it way through. And you'll notice I'm cleaning the tank and the line here a little bit. Depending on how the line feels when I pull it through the tank, you know, the diameter of the line I'm using or the size of the hole in the tank, sometimes I'll put a little super glue on that fuel line. Once the glue is on there, then I'll reach into the tank and I'll just pull the line back up in there a 1/16 of an inch or so, just to get some of that super glue to roll up into the hole of the tank and hold that line in place. You might be thinking, well, I'll never get that line back out of there. Well, you might not. I'm thinking this new fuel line is going to last longer than the rest of this trimmer. And if it doesn't, just cut it flush and hit it with a drill bit. It'll be fine. Don't worry about using super glue on some of these things. Okay, so our next line, our main fuel line, went through the tank, and we pulled enough through to easily put the filter on. Once we drop the filter into the tank, we'll pull the slack back out of the line until the filter's laying flat in the bottom the way we want it, and we don't have a bunch of excess line wadded up in the tank. Route your lines. This line doesn't feel very good on the primer bulb. It's kind of loose, so just a dab of super glue will hold that on there. Again, if that primer bulb has to be replaced, that line can just be flush cut at the end of the barb on the primer bulb. The new bulb put in place and push the line back on, right? And our final line is the one that pulls the fuel from the carburetor to the purge bulb. There's no rocket science here. Okay, our fuel lines look really good. Next thing we got to do is address that base gasket issue. I don't have a base gasket for this in stock, so we had to order one. And that means that this is going to sit here for a week or whatever. And I don't want to lose any of the parts. And just thread the new spark plug in there just so I know where it is next week, right? So here we are a week later. And you see this tool I got here? One end is a 1/4 inch ratchet. The other end is a bit driver holder. It's the only tool in my box that will easily access these screws here on the crankcase, on the cylinder. There's just not a lot of space between the crankcase and the center line of that bolt. So a standard width ratchet head would make the bit crooked when you're trying to put on that screw. It just doesn't work very good. So this narrow-headed tool works really well for this, and it's pretty strong. You put a lot of torque on it in the screws. So we're going to need to loosen the crankcase from the fan shroud just enough so we can kind of swing this cylinder at an angle, get that ignition module to clear the shroud, and then pop it off of here. So this thing has got a lot of brown on the piston, right? Basically that's stale fuel burnt to the piston. So it's led a typical hard homeowner life. Our new gasket came in, and it didn't exactly match the old gasket, so we had to do a little bit of trimming with a razor blade. But we're not working on an airplane here, so I'm not too worried about that. Things go back together the way they came apart. Get our gasket lined up. We're going to put this bolt in just to keep things aligned. Then we're going to flip it over and put the bolt in the other side with Loctite on it. Then we'll come back to this side and take the bolt out, put Loctite on it, put it back together. Yeah, that bit driver ratchet, that works pretty dang good. We'll bolt our crankcase back to our fan shroud. And then we'll put our air director, conductor, plastic shroud back on, and our air filter cover. Torx T20 screws hold everything together on this model. We'll see if it runs. It ain't gonna run, buddy. You don't have any fuel in it. Give me a break. It was a week ago when I worked on it, right? So that's all I got for you on the Ryobi string trimmer fuel line swap and base gasket replacement. Thanks for watching. Later.